Good morning. Many of you have watched the Trinity Choir videos in worship or at some point during the last several months, and some have wondered exactly what we go through to create those videos. Well, here's another video, and this one is going to show some of what we do each week as we prepare for worship. It's going to be a little bit of a mishmash. If I'd had the idea several weeks ago, I could show you what exactly has gone into play for this week's anthem. But an anthem starts several weeks before you see it. The first stage is that I select the anthem. On a given week, we may do between 1 and 4 different projects. There may be a prelude. When I do a prelude, such as the one that Nicholas and Pat did a few weeks ago, or the bells, they, of course, prepare what they're going to play. I go and film it, and then in the editing process, I use the beautiful video that Hung Soo took of the entrance into the church, and I add my video to that to create our prelude video. Most weeks, every week, I think, we do a hymn, an opening hymn. Sometimes that involves a slideshow with the voices, sometimes the actual voices. In order to do a hymn, I select the hymn. I choose whether I'm going to do it on piano or organ. I've only done one piano thus far and several organs. At least one piano by myself. Aaron and I, of course, did some early on. But I'll probably do most of the piano from my house, and the organ, of course, I do at church. So once I choose that, I have to go record the accompaniment. So what you're about to see now is the beginning of the process for the hymn after it's been recorded. As you can see on my computer, I have gone to church.
Welcome to worship this morning.
I've recorded
Please join me in singing Rejoice,
an opening,
the Lord is King.
And I've recorded the hymn on the organ. Now what I'm going to do is, for the choir, I am going to do a rehearsal video so that they will have something to sing from. And so you'll see just a little bit about this. It's not quite 8 o'clock in the morning, so I'm still having coffee. So I have the hymn in front of me. I'm going to bring up iMovie where I will record this. And so let's start the hymn. So we begin with all in parts, then women in parts. And that's the rehearsal video. So I've made the rehearsal video. Now I'm going to add some better audio so that when the choir records, they're going to hear more than just what the speaker picked up. So this is the audio that I recorded from church. It starts,
Welcome to worship this morning,
with my little introduction, and it starts with an introduction to the hymn, and I'm cutting all of that out so that this audio will begin with the opening of the hymn. Now bring my video down, and I find where that's going to start It's where I start conducting. So it's going to be back a little further. This needs to go here.
So we begin with all in parts, then women in parts.
All right. So now I'm going to line those two up. We're going to make it a little bigger. And this needs to go over just a little bit. So I'm going to line him up. Come on, move there. That's the beginning of that. That should be about right. Let's just see if it's about right. So that's close enough for jazz. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this first clip, remove the audio, and just check it. So I have the video from the beginning.
So we begin with all in parts, then women in parts.
So if you are a choir member, at the beginning of the week, you go to a special part of the Trinity web which is not linked so that everyone can see it. It's a choir page, Trinity's choir page, a place to share music files. And we have the weekly participation intent form. They fill that out and let me know whether or not they're going to participate in this week's video. And I update it each week. This week the hymn is Rejoice the Lord is King. The anthem is Precious Lord. They say yes, no, whatever. And then they can go, they have two different buttons, download and upload. Probably the download should be before the upload, but that doesn't matter. So when they're done with their videos, they click the upload file and they upload it. But now we're going to look at the download, and that takes us to Dropbox, downloadable hymns and anthems. We go to music for July 26th. We click that. We click the hymn, and we'll see Rejoice the Lord is King and the music. And so if I click that video, then I'm going to see.
So we begin with all in parts.
What I just recorded. So the choir will download that. They will rehearse it if they need to. Probably with the hymn they don't so much. And then they record themselves singing it using headphones. And in a bit you're going to see me recording myself singing the tenor part to participate in this week's hymn. So, since last we saw each other, I have exercised, gotten cleaned up, had some lunch, and now I'm ready, assuming I have some voice left, to become a choir member and record. I have on my big iPad that I use, the music. Most choir members will probably have printed it off. I have my phone, which is going to provide the opportunity for me to record, and then a second iPad which has the music. And so this is what the choir members would do. The first thing we do is we put on headphones because we only want to record our voices. So I'm all set. Here we go. I'm starting the video, and I'm starting the audio. Rejoice, the Lord is King, your Lord and King adore. Mortals give thanks and sing. Now at this point, the women will be singing, and the men would probably not be talking, but I know that I'm going to edit the men all out here. So the only thing that you will see when you watch this hymn or when you sing with this hymn is the women singing. We soon shall hear the archangel's voice, the trumpet of the sound. Rejoice! A few of our choir members have submitted some videos of themselves doing the same thing that I just did. my computer and begin the editing process. So now we are going to download files and put them into the final product, one file at a time. If you see here, Jan and I are the only two that have uploaded Rejoice the Lord is King. I have already downloaded them. I've actually already put Jan into the file. And so now I bring up my software and I'm going to download Staples Rejoice. And then I'm going to find it. So I'm going to shorten it. And then I'm going to drag it over here. And I'm going to line it up. So we have
Rejoice.
Okay, so I am a little late there. Rejoice starts here. I'm going to move my file over there and see if I've lined it up.
Rejoice, the Lord is King.
And I have lined that up. And so once everybody's file comes in, then we will come back here and I will show you how I turn it into what you see on Sunday. So it's now Thursday afternoon at 4:22. I've finished all my projects, Precious Lord and Rejoice the Lord is King, and I realized I forgot to do any recording. So, and my wife is on her way home, so that's all for today. But I will finish this project tomorrow, and I will show you the finished product and then take some of it apart and show you how we get there, and end with a little something fun from last night's rehearsal. So this morning I'm going to show you the final editing process that goes into making a hymn that you see on Sunday morning. On my computer screen is the finished product, and the first thing that I will do is show you some of the finished product, and then I'll show you how we get there. So early in the week, while I'm waiting for people to submit videos, one of the things that I can do is edit the words. And so I don't have to type in all the words. I go to a site called hymnary.org, I believe, and then I cut and paste. So here you see the words, and if I want to, I actually add a title, and then I cut and paste these words, so I can I highlight them and then cut and paste, and then I go to the next one, and then after I've entered a few of them, I play it to check where the words are. And so I make sure that the words are timed well. So I've added accompaniment, I've added words, I add the videos as we get to it. And I'm going to go to the final verse, which looks like this on the computer. I have what we call compound clips. And if I open that compound clip, then you see what it looks like on my page. But before I got to that page, this is what it looked like. So here you see, I've just taken a few files. On this hymn, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 singers. So they all take the full screen, and I select them. I've selected. I've got 3 selected here. Now I don't know who's selected. I don't remember. But there's Mary Beth, and so I scaled her down to 20%. There's Tom, and I do this as a batch, so I scale everybody down to 20%. And Peggy is scaled to 20%. So that's the first thing. Now you see everybody else is positioned. Then I take and I crop a little bit. So we've got Mary Beth. We're going to take a little off the left, a little off the right, and then we're going to move her up into a corner. And, well, I guess that was Peggy I moved. And so now we have Mary Beth, I think. Let's see, going to move her in position number 2, and then now we got Tom dead center. We're going to take a little here and a little there, and we're going to move him here. And he's not quite lined up. I'll take a little off the bottom and a little off the left. Sort of like doing a haircut. And normally what I do is then I take the numbers over here where it says transform, the position numbers, and put everybody the same. So, for instance, Peggy is at 262.2, Mary Beth is 257, 260, that's where I put everybody before at 260. So I can highlight these 2 people, I put them at 260, and now they're lined up. And I do that for all of those. So, of course, I've already lined up their singing. Now I'm just lining up their pictures. And so once I get that done, I create what is called a compound clip, which means I have all of these guys, and I take it down to something that looks like this. I have 3 compound clips here. I have one for the accompaniment, one for the last verse, and one for the words in the background. And you can see here I've got, that's verse 3, verse 2, verse 1. So I have different clips for each of those because I have different people singing. Like in verse 1, I have everyone. In verse 2, I have the women. And in verse 3, I have the men. Once I get all of that done and I get everything lined up, then I begin to view it and look for errors. Yesterday when I was editing, I spent 30 minutes trying to find one little black spot that had appeared. I never did find it, so I did the next best thing. If you can't beat them, join them. So I faded out and faded in so that that black spot looked like something I'd attended. And once I'm happy with all of that, I've got the accompaniment, I've got the words, I've got the singers, then I go up to the top where it says File, Share, and I'm going to create, export the file, Rejoice the Lord is King. It's going to take an estimate of 270 megabytes. Then I render it, I save it. I've already done that, so I don't need to do that again. And then I upload it, send it to Aaron, and he puts it in the service. So I'll share with you just a few other things that I do for the anthems. because for the hymns, I keep it simple. I do the audio that comes with people's video. I don't mess with it. I just use it as it is. For anthems, I use an additional sound program called Audacity, which is sitting here on my computer. You can see it. These are just representative sounds, but every person's audio is one line, and so one of the things that I have to do is when I get it here, then I have to line everything up, and then I test it. These are, and make sure everything is in line. Then if different people record at different levels, so if one particular person has recorded at a really low level, I will highlight their part and say I highlight the part and go in here and amplify it so that it goes all the way to a peak, and that makes that bigger. So after everybody is balanced, then I mix down all the sopranos, and I do the same for the altos, the tenors, and the basses, and if there's accompaniment, I have that. But before I add the accompaniment, I take all my four parts, or sometimes it's more, and I balance those. So, for instance, if the sopranos are singing very high, then some of their levels may end up being too low because it balances it out. I have to increase parts of the soprano section to balance with everyone else. After I've got everybody down, I mix that down, put it with the accompaniment, add some reverb, and then I export the audio file into the video file, and I line that up with the audio on the video file. I mute the native audio to the video, use my edited audio, and that's what you hear. Another thing that I will sometimes do with the anthem, I'm going to just point that at my little keyboard here. I connect my keyboard up, and for instance, on this week's anthem, Precious Lord, I add an acoustic bass. Sometimes I've added strings. Trumpets and whatnot. And I even, on an anthem that we're going to do in a few weeks, Keep Your Lamps Trimmed and Burning, I added some percussion. I don't think I made a note of what that is. But I had some various percussion instruments. They're supposed to be conga drums. I didn't have conga drums on here, but I had 3 different notes, and so I played the percussion on the keyboard. So the keyboard allows me to do some interesting things with the accompaniments. So there you have it. That's the process, and I do that for 1 to 3 pieces every week, and once the new week starts, I do it all over again. I wouldn't do it, though, if I didn't really love doing it. It's a very creative thing. And, of course, if you've seen the videos, sometimes you see it the way that I've done it today. Sometimes I'll do slideshows and just have the audio. And once we start looking at music for lessons and carols, that's going to be a new challenge. I'm thinking about doing a combination of slides on some, audio on, or they call it the Brady Bunch effect, with all the different little pictures in there, and perhaps even inviting some members of the congregation to share slides or even share slideshows as we create our lessons and carols. I promised a little bit of fun for the final couple of minutes of this. We rehearse every week, the choir does, and we rehearse rather than using Zoom. So when I get ready to rehearse a piece, I'm at my piano, everybody's logged in, they have their music in front of them, and then I mute them because there's a sound delay, and if they're not muted, it creates quite a cacophony. But now we've started a little tradition over the last few months. When we do a happy birthday, we have everyone unmute and sing. So I'm going to close this video with happy birthday to Art Utley. He recorded it as it was being done last Wednesday night, and we have a lot of fun. If you've been thinking about joining the choir and you don't want to do it in person, Zoom is a perfect way. Nobody hears you sing unless it's happy birthday time.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lord. Happy birthday to you.
That's all, folks.